The 1980s saw both popular hits like Only Fools and Horses, plus a range of unusual, politically charged comedies that quickly faded from memory. This video highlights the quirky narrative of That Beryl Marston, the Soviet-satire Comrade Dad, and the infidelity farce Dogfood Dan and the Carmarthen Cowboy. We also cover the 19th Hole, a sitcom so controversial it was dropped mid-run by one ITV station. Join me to revisit these mostly forgotten comedies. Our first forgotten 80s show is That Beryl Marston, a short-lived 6-episode ITV sitcom from 1981. It starred Julia Mackenzie and Gareth Hunt as Georgie and Jerry Bodley, who run a seafront curio shop in sunny Brighton. Their business is fine, but their married life, not so much. The series is set just after their divorce, which was caused by Jerry's affair with the infamous Beryl Marston. And here's the key oddity: Beryl is never seen. She's only glimpsed from time to time and appears in silhouette in the opening credits. She's essentially the unseen titular sex goddess of Sussex. The show's other defining feature was its quirky narrative style. The Bodley's son, Phil, played by Jonathan Morris, serves as the narrator, frequently addressing the audience direct to camera to comment on events as he tries to get his parents back together. Georgie, meanwhile, struggles to cope with being a newly single mother and running her shop, thankfully with the help of gay best friend Harvey, played by Peter John. Every time that reconciliation looked to be on the cards for the Bodleys, the spectre of Beryl would rear its head and they would break apart again. A second season was due to be made, but Southern TV lost its franchise. So, despite Julia Mackenzie's talents, she even sang the theme song, the show's unique mix of domestic divorce drama and narrative gimmickry ended after one season, leaving it as a peculiar, short-lived footnote of early 80s TV. Next is a show that seems unbelievable today, a satirical sitcom set in a Soviet-occupied Britain. Comrade Dad aired on the BBC in 1986, following a pilot that aired in December 1984. It starred the great George Cole as Reg Dudgeon. The setting is 1999, after the United Kingdom has been invaded by the Soviet Union and renamed USSR GB, with London now known as Londongrad. The revolution, the pilot explains, was a remarkable bloodless coup carried out in 1987 when Russian paratroopers sealed off all the important members of British society in a nuclear fallout shelter. Reg Dudgeon, a working class man, initially thinks the Soviet takeover is wonderful, championing the work of his new rulers. Nelson has been removed from his column and replaced with a revolving red star. However, his faith is severely tested by the realities of communism, the low wages, food shortages and long queues. Beetroot, acorn coffee and Albanian dried egg are some of the few readily available foodstuffs in communist Britain. The show was so politically pointed it caused an international incident. When it aired, the then Deputy Soviet Foreign Minister, Nikita Ryzhov, was visiting Britain, and he promptly criticised the show for being unfriendly and not conducive to an improvement in Anglo-Soviet relations. The series only lasted for one run. Writers claimed the BBC lost interest when George Cole declined a second season, but another theory suggests that the rise of Mikhail Gorbachev and his policy of glasnost in the late 1980s made the show's Cold War subject matter seem suddenly irrelevant. From political satire to farcical infidelity, we turn to Dogfood Dan and the Carmarthen Cowboy, a 6-episode BBC sitcom from 1988. It was written by David Nobbs, the comic mastermind behind the fall and rise of Reginald Perrin. David Nobbs' Dogfood Dan universe had previously appeared as a one-off instalment of ITV's anthology series Playhouse in 1982. That incarnation starred David Dacre and Gareth Thomas, but neither made the transition to the BBC series, but much of the script remained untouched. The show follows Dan Milton from Hull, the Dogfood Dan, and Aubrey Owen from Carmarthen, the Carmarthen Cowboy. They're both lorry drivers who drive trucks across the country and meet weekly at a transport cafe. Bored with their wives, the two men decide to spice up their lives. Thanks to a wonderful synchronicity where they make deliveries to the other's hometown on the same day, they decide to start affairs. They cheekily tip each other off on the best places to meet women in Hull and Carmarthen. Here is the exquisite, farcical joke at the heart of the premise. Unbeknownst to them, Dan and Aubrey end up having affairs with each other's wife. Aubrey tells Dan's wife he is Labour MP Onyarin, and Aubrey's wife Mafamwe tells Dan she is called Gwyneth. The show tracks their increasingly complicated web of deceit. As one reviewer noted, the two men swapped partners with startling ease. Despite the great writing talent of Nobbs and the successful one-off pilot on ITV years earlier, the full BBC series only managed one short run before being forgotten, a testament to the fact that even a perfectly constructed farcical premise can sometimes get lost in the crowded 80s schedule. Our final stop in the 1980s is one of the decade's most infamous and short-lived sitcoms, the 19th Hole from 1989. This show was written by Johnny Speight, the man who gave us controversial but groundbreaking Till Death Us Do Part. The show was set in a suburban golf club. Speight was aiming for the same kind of politically charged prejudice humour he perfected with Alf Garnett, but it failed spectacularly. The main problem, as one critic noted, was that almost every character was a carbon copy of Alf Garnett. There was no one to provide a counterbalance to the non-stop parade of prejudiced and ill-informed tirades. The result, sadly, was tiresome rather than funny. It starred Eric Sykes as the close harassed secretary, and he was chiefly responsible for what few laughs there were. The show featured a strong cast including Garfield Morgan and Brian Glover, but it was quickly condemned as racist, sexist and homophobic, according to the Telegraph newspaper. The controversy became so intense that one ITV station, Television South West, was so embarrassed that they cancelled it mid-run after only 3 episodes, deeming it to be racist. One specific plot point highlighted the show's boundary-pushing attempts at comedy. A club member named Mr. Johnson, played by Ken Campbell, underwent a sex change operation, leading the committee to debate whether he should be allowed to use the men's bar. The 19th Hole was a disastrous end to the 80s for Speight, proving that even a legendary writer can sometimes swing and miss, leaving a show that, apart from a few late 90s repeats, has rarely been seen since. The 1980s then delivered a strange collection of forgotten comedies. We saw the high-concept satire of Comrade Dad, which dared to imagine a communist Britain until world events made it obsolete. We witnessed the strange, almost theatrical structure of That Beryl Marston, proving that an unseen lead character and direct-to-camera narration couldn't save a series. Even philandering truck drivers couldn't sustain more than a 6-episode series. And we watched as the 19th Hole showed that shock comedy of the 60s could no longer survive in the more aware climate of the late 80s. These shows are a times capsule of an era, a period when sitcoms tried to tackle divorce, the Soviet threat and social prejudice with varying, often disastrous results. What was the strangest sitcom you remember from the 1980s that everyone else seems to have forgotten about? Let me know in the comments below. And in the next video, we're swapping the shoulder pads for grunge and the political jokes for surreal niche humour as we explore some forgotten gems of the 1990s.